While families today spend over $150 weekly on groceries, there's a community that has mastered feeding entire households for under $2 per meal. These aren't survival rations. These are hearty, satisfying dishes that have sustained generations through America's toughest economic times. Recipe 1. Amish bean soup. Amish bean soup combines dried beans, carrots, onions, garlic, and a ham bone or broth to create a simple but hearty meal. Using just 50 cents worth of dried beans, this soup feeds 8 people generously. The secret lies in slow simmering overnight, transforming humble ingredients into a rich, protein-packed meal that costs under $2 total. Recipe 2. Poor man's potato pancakes. Leftover mashed potatoes become golden, crispy pancakes that satisfy hunger without breaking budgets. 3 large potatoes, 1 egg, and basic seasonings create 12 substantial pancakes. The Amish discovered that day-old mashed potatoes actually work better than fresh ones, creating a texture that holds together beautifully when fried in a small amount of lard or oil. Total cost per serving, 35 cents. Recipe 3. Milk toast. This forgotten breakfast sustained families during the Great Depression and remains a comforting, economical meal today. Thick slices of homemade bread are toasted, buttered, and covered with warm milk seasoned with salt and pepper. Some families added a sprinkle of sugar or cinnamon. 1 loaf of bread and a cup of milk creates 4 satisfying breakfast servings for less than 50 cents total. Recipe 4. Amish buttermilk biscuits. These soft, flaky Amish buttermilk biscuits come together in less than 30 minutes using 2 cups flour, 3/4 teaspoon salt, 3 teaspoons baking powder, and buttermilk. 10 substantial biscuits cost approximately $1 to make. They served as bread, soaked up gravies, and filled hungry stomachs when meat was scarce. The key was using real buttermilk, which created superior texture and tang. Recipe 5. Chicken and dumpling. When chicken was affordable, Amish families stretched 1 bird to feed 12 people through clever dumpling addition. The secret wasn't expensive ingredients, but proper technique. Chicken bones simmered for hours created rich broth. Simple flour dumplings, made from basic biscuit dough, absorbed flavors while adding substantial bulk to the meal. 1 whole chicken, flour, and seasonings created enough food for 2 full meals. The cost per serving remained under 75 cents, while providing complete protein and satisfying carbohydrates that sustained energy through demanding physical work. Recipe 6. Amish macaroni salad. Amish macaroni salad is a creamy dish of elbow macaroni, hard-boiled eggs, pickles, red peppers, and onions, tied together with a sweet and tart dressing of Miracle Whip, mustard, sugar, and vinegar. This wasn't just a side dish. It served as a complete meal that provided protein from eggs, carbohydrates from pasta, and vegetables for nutrition. 1 pound of macaroni, 4 eggs, and basic vegetables created enough salad to feed 8 people as a main course for approximately $1.50 total. Recipe 7. Bread pudding with molasses. Stale bread transformed into satisfying dessert that doubled as breakfast or dinner. Day-old bread was cubed and soaked in milk, then mixed with eggs, molasses, and spices before baking. This wasn't just dessert. It provided substantial nutrition and calories when food budgets were tight. The molasses added iron and minerals while creating rich sweetness without expensive sugar. 1 loaf of stale bread, basic milk, and 2 eggs created enough pudding to serve 6 people generously. Total cost remained under $1, while providing filling meal that satisfied both sweet cravings and genuine hunger during difficult economic times. Recipe 8. Sauerkraut and sausage skillet. Preserved cabbage and small amounts of sausage created filling meals that lasted multiple days. The Amish preserved cabbage in large quantities during harvest season, ensuring vitamin C availability through winter months. 1 jar of homemade sauerkraut combined with a single sausage link, sliced thin, created enough filling for 4 substantial meals. Potatoes added bulk and satisfaction. The fermentation process not only preserved the cabbage but created probiotics that aided digestion. This combination provided complete nutrition: protein from sausage, carbohydrates from potatoes, and essential vitamins from fermented vegetables. Total cost per serving, 45 cents. Recipe 9. Cornmeal mush with milk gravy. Cornmeal became the foundation for countless budget meals that provided lasting satisfaction. Ground corn was cooked slowly into thick porridge, then cooled and sliced for frying. The fried slices were served with milk gravy made from flour, milk, and bacon drippings. This breakfast combination provided complex carbohydrates, protein, and fat necessary for sustained energy during manual labor. 1 cup of cornmeal created enough mush for 8 servings, while the milk gravy used ingredients already available in most kitchens. The entire meal cost less than 75 cents while providing nutrition equivalent to much more expensive breakfast options. Recipe 10. Lima bean and ham bone soup. Ham bones, often discarded today, became the foundation for rich, protein-filled soups that stretched small amounts of meat into multiple meals. Dried lima beans were soaked overnight, then simmered with the ham bone, onions, and celery until tender. The bone provided deep flavor and some meat, while beans offered complete protein and fiber. 1 ham bone and 2 cups of dried beans created enough soup for 10 servings. This wasn't thin broth, but substantial soup that served as complete meals. The cost per serving remained under 50 cents, while providing more satisfaction and nutrition than many expensive convenience foods available today. Recipe 11. Vinegar pie. When lemons were luxury items, Amish cooks created tangy, satisfying pies using common vinegar and basic pantry ingredients. Eggs, sugar, butter, and vinegar combined with flour created custard-like filling that satisfied dessert cravings without expensive citrus fruits. The vinegar provided the acid necessary for proper custard setting while creating bright, clean flavor that mimicked more expensive lemon pies. 1 pie required ingredients costing less than 75 cents but provided 8 generous slices. This dessert proved that satisfaction didn't require expensive ingredients. Just understanding how basic components could combine to create complex, enjoyable flavors that pleased families during lean times. Recipe 12. Dandelion greens with bacon dressing. Spring dandelions provided free nutrition that surpassed expensive store-bought vegetables in both flavor and nutritional value. Young dandelion leaves were gathered before flowering, then wilted with hot bacon dressing made from bacon fat, vinegar, and a touch of sugar. This wasn't just frugal cooking. Dandelions contain more vitamins A and C than spinach, plus iron and calcium. The hot bacon dressing made potentially bitter greens palatable, while adding necessary fats for vitamin absorption. Gathering enough greens for 4 people cost nothing, while the bacon dressing used scraps that might otherwise be discarded. Total meal cost, 25 cents. Recipe 13. Shoofly pie. Shoofly pie represents traditional from-scratch desserts that could be made on a budget. This molasses-based pie required no expensive fruits or nuts, instead creating rich sweetness from molasses, flour, and basic spices. The filling was thick, cake-like consistency that provided substantial calories and energy. Brown sugar, molasses, and flour created the characteristic crumb topping and gooey bottom layer. 1 pie cost approximately $1 to make, but provided 8 large slices. The molasses offered iron and minerals while satisfying sweet cravings. This pie could serve as dessert, breakfast, or even emergency meal during particularly difficult economic periods. Recipe 14. Potato soup with rivels. Potatoes form the base for countless economical soups, but rivels, tiny dumplings made from flour and egg, transformed simple potato water into filling meals. Potatoes were boiled until tender, then mashed slightly to thicken the cooking liquid. Rivels were made by mixing flour with 1 beaten egg, then rubbing the mixture between palms to create small, irregular dumplings that were dropped into the simmering soup. These absorbed flavors while adding protein and substance. 5 pounds of potatoes and basic ingredients created enough soup for 12 servings. Cost per bowl, 30 cents. Nutrition rivaled much more expensive soups. Recipe 15. Apple butter. Apple butter is a popular Amish recipe made by slow-cooking apples for hours until they caramelize naturally. This wasn't just spread, it served as dessert, breakfast enhancement, and even meat accompaniment. Apples were cooked down with minimal added sugar, relying on natural fruit sugars concentrated through long, slow cooking. One bushel of apples, often available cheaply during harvest season, created dozens of jars that lasted through winter. The natural caramelization process created complex flavors without expensive spices. Apple butter provided vitamins and minerals while satisfying sweet cravings for pennies per serving throughout the cold months. Recipe 16. Pickled beets and eggs. Preservation techniques created new dishes while extending food storage without refrigeration. Beets were pickled in vinegar solution, then hard-boiled eggs were added to the brine, creating protein-rich snacks that lasted weeks. This combination provided complete nutrition. Eggs offered protein, while beets contributed folate, fiber, and natural sugars. The pickling process not only preserved foods but created probiotics beneficial for digestion. 1 dozen eggs and several pounds of beets created enough pickled food to provide snacks and light meals for weeks. The vinegar solution could be reused multiple times, making this preservation method extremely economical at approximately 10 cents per serving. Recipe 17. Beef and noodle casserole. Tough, inexpensive cuts of beef became tender, satisfying meals through slow cooking and smart ingredient combinations. Chuck roast or similar tough cuts were browned, then braised slowly until fork tender. The resulting meat was shredded and combined with homemade egg noodles and the concentrated cooking liquid. This created hearty casserole that fed large families from small amounts of meat. 1 2-pound roast, when properly prepared, provided enough protein for 12 servings when combined with noodles and vegetables. The slow cooking process broke down tough fibers while creating rich gravies that made simple noodles into satisfying, complete meals. Recipe 18. Friendship bread starter. Friendship bread represents traditional bread making that could be maintained on a budget. The starter was maintained indefinitely, creating dozens of loaves from one initial investment in flour and basic ingredients. This wasn't just bread. It was community insurance against hunger. Families shared starters, ensuring that even during difficult times, fresh bread remained available. The fermentation process improved digestibility while creating complex flavors. One starter, properly maintained, could produce bread for months without purchasing commercial yeast. The shared nature meant ingredients were often contributed by multiple families, reducing individual costs while ensuring everyone had access to fresh, nutritious bread. Recipe 19. Creamed dried beef on toast. Dried beef, affordable and shelf-stable, became the protein foundation for filling meals that satisfied hunger without expensive fresh meat. Thin slices of dried beef were heated in butter, then flour was added to create roux. Milk was gradually incorporated, creating rich cream sauce that transformed the salty meat into satisfying gravy. This was served over toast or biscuits, creating a complete meal that provided protein, carbohydrates, and necessary fats. 1 jar of dried beef created enough creamed mixture for 8 servings when properly extended with flour and milk. Total cost per serving, 60 cents for filling nutritious meal. Recipe 20. Molasses cookies. These soft, chewy cookies required no expensive ingredients yet provided satisfying treats that boosted morale during difficult times. Molasses, flour, lard, and basic spices created dozens of cookies that stored well and provided quick energy for working families. The molasses contributed iron and minerals while creating rich flavor that satisfied sweet cravings. One batch using simple ingredients costed less than 75 cents but produced 4 dozen cookies. These weren't just treats. They served as portable breakfast for workers, after-school snacks for children, and evening comfort food for families dealing with economic hardship. Simple ingredients, properly combined, created lasting satisfaction. Special Recipe 1. War cake. No eggs, no butter. During World War II rationing, Amish families perfected this cake that required no eggs, butter, or milk. Ingredients that were scarce or expensive: brown sugar, Flour, raisins, and spices combined with water and lard created moist, flavorful cake that satisfied sweet cravings during the hardest times. The secret was boiling raisins with spices to create natural sweetness and moisture. One cake cost less than 50 cents but provided 12 generous slices. This wasn't compromise baking, it was innovation that created desserts as satisfying as expensive alternatives. The cake actually improved after a day, making it perfect for families needing treats that lasted. Special Recipe 2, Depression Soup, Everything Soup. This legendary soup used whatever vegetables, grains, or scraps were available, transforming potential waste into nourishing meals. Potato peels, vegetable trimmings, leftover grains, and small amounts of meat or bones simmered together created soup that was different every time but always satisfying. The key was understanding which combinations worked and proper seasoning techniques that unified disparate ingredients. Families could create filling soup from ingredients that might otherwise be discarded. Cost was nearly nothing, but nutrition was substantial. This soup represented the ultimate Amish cooking philosophy: nothing wasted, everything transformed, abundance created from apparent scarcity through skill and creativity. The modern application: these 20 forgotten recipes reveal something profound about our relationship with food and money. While modern grocery bills climb ever higher, Amish families prove that satisfaction doesn't require expense, and nutrition doesn't demand specialty ingredients. Their techniques worked because they understood fundamental principles that remain true today. The real lesson isn't about returning to a simpler time. It's about reclaiming skills that can provide genuine food security in uncertain economic times. Every recipe they mastered can be adapted to modern kitchens and lifestyles. Slow cooking transforms inexpensive cuts into satisfying meals. Proper seasoning creates complex flavors from simple ingredients. Understanding nutrition means plant proteins can satisfy as completely as expensive meats. But perhaps most importantly, these recipes represent a different relationship with abundance. Instead of seeking satisfaction through expense, they found it through creativity and skill. Instead of viewing limitations as problems, they saw them as opportunities for innovation. In our current economy, these aren't just historical curiosities. They're practical tools for creating food security, reducing expenses, and rediscovering the satisfaction that comes from creating something meaningful from simple ingredients. The Amish way of cooking offers a pathway to abundance that doesn't depend on unlimited budgets, but on unlimited creativity and time-tested wisdom.